I want to process my vocals, but I don't have money. Don't worry. Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome to a new video. My name is Wildcrow, and today I'm gonna show you FL Studio stock plugins, so plugins that comes with FL Studio to process your vocals like professional producers. Yes, I have a lot of videos working with vocals. I have a full playlist in my channel, so if you want to know how to work with vocals, just go to my channel to playlist and look for the vocal one. But most of the times I use plugins that are really expensive, and there are really good alternatives in FL Studio, so you don't have to spend money. Let's start with this, but don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, you know, all these things for the algorithm, please. Thank you. So we have this vocal.
I'm so caught up in this. You're the reason that I always have doubts.
The first thing I always recommend you is to fine-tune your vocal. This vocal is good, but maybe there are some words that are out of key and maybe don't really sound that good. A good plugin to this is Melodyne, but Melodyne is expensive. So FL Studio has the Newton, that is a really good alternative that is basically the same. So we're gonna take the vocal and we're gonna send it here to Newton, just like this. And now as I know that this vocal is in E major, what I'm gonna do is go here, go to scale, and as you can see it's already marked. I didn't do it, that's because Newton knows the key. If it doesn't know it, just click here. Now what I'm gonna do is click on snap to scale, and as you're gonna see, some notes are gonna move. As you can see, some of the notes got moved, and that's because those notes were out of key and now they are in the key. But I always recommend you to double check it with your ears. For example, this note is one of the ones that are gonna get moved. But if we listen now,
That I always have doubts.
the problem here is that it has a lot of movement, and if we right click, we're gonna center this note. And as you can see, this note is in B, but if we undo the centering, it's basically on C, and this is the problem. So I'm gonna center it, listen now.
That I always have doubts.
It's not really there yet because of this movement, so I'm gonna double click so I make zoom, and on the variation I'm gonna reduce it like this.
Reason that I always have doubts.
Now it's better, it's in the key, but I don't really like it. So what I'm gonna do is just move this up or down. And as you can see, I went from B to C sharp, and this is because we have the snap to scale enabled.
Reason that I always have doubts.
After you make sure the vocal is in key, what you can do is to compress the vocal. But before compressing, sometimes it's good to use a vocal rider. Wildcrow, what the hell is a vocal rider? Basically, it's like automating the volume, but in an automatic way. For example, as you can see, this vocal has a lot of peaks. So if you compress it, probably when you reach the average volume of the vocal, you're gonna be compressing these peaks way too much, so it can sound bad. So using a vocal rider is gonna reduce that volume first, and then you can compress. And yes, FL Studio doesn't have a vocal rider like that, but it has a preset on Patcher that is a vocal rider. So if we go to Patcher and we click here, as you can see, there are a lot of presets, and the last one is the vocal rider. If you go to map and you go double click here, you're gonna see like the instructions of this vocal rider, how to use it. So what I'm gonna do is reduce the range max, so this way the loudest peak is quieter. I'm also maybe control the minimum, you know, touch the sensitivity, the target. So just touch some of the settings and I render it, and it's this. And if we put it on top of the other one, as you can see, there's a difference on volume in some parts. Some parts are quieter, you know, for example, this peak here, this one. After this, you have a more controlled vocal and you can start compressing. With what compressor? Just the FL Studio compressor. A really important thing you need to do on vocal is to use a Deesser. A Deesser is a plugin that is going to control the mid-high frequencies when there is an S or an F sound, because these sounds usually get really loud in the microphone. And again, FL Studio doesn't have a Deesser, but it has a preset on Patcher. So just by putting this preset, if we disable it, it sounds like this.
Don't you see?
And if we have it,
Don't you see?
it's a little bit more controlled. But basically, if I exaggerate this,
Don't you see?
as you can see, the S is a lot more controlled, but of course it is way too much, and it's basically reducing a lot of high frequencies. The problem on this Deesser is that it's working as a dynamic EQ, and no, it's not the same thing. A dynamic EQ is gonna reduce if there's something loud there, doesn't matter what thing. So if the singer is shouting just an it's gonna reduce. We don't want this, and this is why I recommend you to try to look for better Deessers. For example, the FabFilter Pro DS has two modes: the all-around, that is working as a dynamic EQ as this one, or the single vocal mode, that what it does is just reduce when there is an S or an F. So if you don't have the money for a good Deesser and you use this one, be careful with it. Then of course you need to EQ the vocals, that's obvious. To EQ a vocal, you can just use the parametric EQ too. I mean, it's good, there's no problem with using this one. But if you want an alternative, there's also a Patcher preset. So I say you can just go here.
Don't you see? That
And control the vocal as you want, you know? Or on the Patcher presets, here there's simple EQ vocal. This one is good to EQ really fast, like, okay, I want some more body on this vocal.
I'm so caught up in this.
As you can see, adds a lot more body. I want more breathe,
I'm so
some more clarity.
I'm so
And if you want to know what frequencies is this touching, you can go to the map, double click here, and this way, when you boost, you can see what frequencies. And this is really important because every vocal is different. It's not the same to EQ a male vocal than a female vocal. Female vocals usually use higher frequencies. So the body on a male vocal is not the same frequency range than a female vocal. So if you want to add more body to the vocal,
I'm so caught up in.
As you can see, this one fits, but if the vocal was higher, like in this part,
You need a friend.
it doesn't really touch the body. So maybe we can put it around here.
You need a friend.
And another really important thing for vocals is of course the reverb. You can just use the Fruity Reverb 2, it's a really good reverb, but FL Studio would be awesome, a Fruity Reverb 3 with a lot more options. But I'm gonna show you an alternative from Patcher, yes, Patcher again, that I think is quite interesting and sounds really good. The one I'm talking about is this, the X6 Reverb. As you can see, there's a lot of knobs and there's like decay, 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 decay. If I'm honest with you, I don't really 100% understand how this plugin works, but basically it's like there's 6 reverbs working on at the same time, but they sound so well together.
You need a friend, 'cause you don't.
As you can see, it's a really good reverb. For my personal preference, I prefer to reduce a little bit the highs
You need a friend.
and also reduce a bit the damping so we have a bit less high frequencies.
You need a friend.
And then just go here and touch like, okay, I don't want that much decay on this one, maybe more on this one, I'm not sure. Also, this is gonna control the stereo separation, so this way is mono,
You need a friend.
or if you want it really wide.
You need a friend.
Maybe this is too much. Be careful. And that's it. Basically, you don't need anything else to process your vocals. Yeah, maybe some exciters, some delays. Yeah, of course, you can do whatever thing you want to your vocals. But these are like the main things I recommend you. And of course, with the stock plugins. So nothing else, guys. If you have any other stock plugins, remember to put them down below in the comments. This way we can learn from the ones you use. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and thank you so much to all these guys here for being my Patreon members. If you don't know what this is about, down below in the description you have a link to my Patreon. You can go there and you're gonna see all the information. Basically, you can get sample packs, sound bands, a lot of super detailed feedback, like really precise one. And if you are interested, just join us. Nothing else. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video.